All right, if you're watching this video, chances are you either have the P0641 code or you have camshaft position sensor code, MAF code, you've changed out your throttle body, you've checked all your grounds, you've done all of the basically GMT 800, GMT 900 fixes, right? Well, I did some digging on the forums, did some watching here on YouTube earlier, and I came across something right now. So let me tell you what I've done to this vehicle so far. So I have checked all the grounds, made sure those were all good to go. We're good to go. I have checked all of the wiring. Well, let me back up a little bit. Truck broke down about 2 hours away from home the other day, and it was throwing a camshaft position sensor problem. I just made another video if you want to see how to change that, because it is horrendous. It gets stuck in the front cover. Go check that out. So threw a camshaft position sensor in that. Definitely do that at home if you have some tools. Don't try to do that anywhere else. It's one bolt and one plug, but it's not easy, and you'll see why when you go watch that video. Then fix that. Put the truck on the ground, started it, let it warm up. It didn't throw any more codes. I went to take it around my block, died literally on the next block over. Turn it back on, check the codes, crankshaft position sensor. I'm like, what the fuck? Now, mind you, it's constantly having a stored code for an evap circuit, and it goes away when I clear all the codes, and then it comes back eventually after driving it. And I never really paid much mind to that, right? Like, I personally, so I know this thing needs a gas cap, and a lot of times I thought it was just the gas cap stuff, right? Because that will trigger that evap code to pop up, and I'm like, yeah, I'll grab a gas cap next time I'm at the parts store, and I always forget. And so I'm like, okay, it's possible that a crankshaft position sensor could go bad randomly. Maybe I was under there fucking with it, or, I ran into the harness or something, and it didn't like that I changed the camshaft position sensor, whatever, who knows, right? For whatever reason, in my brain, I'm like, okay, that's a possibility. I'm getting no other codes. So I started up this morning. I changed the crankshaft position sensor. I start the truck up this morning, let it warm up, no codes. I go to take it for a drive, dies at the end of my street. But this time, it's just in limp mode. It does the StabiliTrak disabled, low power mode, or reduced engine power, reduced engine power. And so clearly I'm frustrated at this point. I go inside and, let me back up. So I reverse down my street at the 1 mile per hour that the limp mode will allow you to do. I go to turn in my driveway. It's not enough power to get up the driveway, so I can get out and push the truck and then jump back in and push the brakes before it runs into the garage. And then I go in the house. Never mind, I didn't go in the house. I sat in the truck and I pulled up the codes again, because I'm like, it must be something in this crankshaft positioning sensor wiring or something. I pull the codes up. I see P0641. Never seen that before, ever. Now, mind you, reference what I said a second ago. I'm constantly seeing that evap circuit code in there. Again, never pay much mind to it. I just assume, because even the dash will tell me, check your gas cap every once in a while. And I still haven't got a damn gas cap. I need to get that. Somebody remind me. Text me, DM me, whatever. Like, subscribe, do all that shit. Anyway, so I pull back up in here. I check the code, P0641. I go inside, I do a little research, and I'm like, 5-volt reference. Like, God damn it, don't tell me somewhere in this wiring harness is messed up. I'm going to have to start shooting wires, and I don't have a scope. So if you ever seen the oscilloscope, that's the easiest way to scope wiring harnesses and stuff like that, but I don't have one. So another way you can do it is you grab a voltmeter and pin it into something, that's going to have that same reference. So for example, if you have, let me back up a little bit again. Sorry, my brain's not working so swell here today. I'm a bit scatterbrained. So this 5-volt reference, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things on it. That's funny. There's a fuel tank pressure switch. There's your throttle pedal sensor inside the cabin there. There's the manifold absolute pressure, so your MAP sensor up on the intake manifold. The MAF, which is right there in the intake. And then the camshaft position sensor. So I was a little concerned. I'm like, damn, did I break one of the wires? Or You know what I mean? When I was in there thrashing around, trying to get it out. And then I start watching some videos and I see some guys lift up this wiring harness right here, the big one that runs over the top of the engine, right where the manifold is, because there's a stud underneath there. And it rubs into the wiring harness sometimes. And that gray reference wire, so the 5-volt reference for all of those sensors is right at the bottom of that wiring harness. It's gray. I pick up that wiring harness. Unfortunately, it's not. That wiring harness is good to go. Definitely put a piece of rubber on that stud though, because it will eat through that harness eventually. However, I'm thinking, okay, I have this evap code. Where is that sensor? Back of the pressure sensor, right? The fuel tank pressure sensor, whatever it's called. That's in the back of the vehicle. That's in the fuel, above the fuel tank. Again, I was like, please don't be that. I don't want to get up there with that wiring or whatever. But here's the deal. I started thinking, like, how does that get back there? Probably runs along the frame rail here, right? So I follow this loom that goes down the engine bay here, whoop, that way. And I get to thinking, I was under here messing with the O2 sensors. I put defowlers because this thing has shitty aftermarket catalytic converters on it. And it sounds like it has no cats on it because it has a stock exhaust, but it sounds like it has an exhaust on it. So I'd imagine the cats are shitty or hollow or whatever. So I put defowlers in there, right? Because I was getting, a while ago, I was getting an O2 sensor heater sensor circuit for both banks. While I was under there doing that, I remember thinking to myself, these wires are really close to this drive shaft. You'll never believe this. That's a 1/4-inch ratchet for reference, but these 3 wires, there's a loom of about 9 wires that run next to the transfer case, over the top of the transmission, then back. A few of them split off at the harness to the O2 sensors, and a couple of them split off, run to the back, and then back up to the harness, the front side, the engine harness, right? What color are these wires? Gray and white. Gray. This one's eaten through and was sitting directly on the drive shaft. Burned my fucking knuckle. I'm pretty sure that's the heater sensor wire right there for the O2 sensor. So this is starting to make a lot of sense, and I'll show you where this is just so you know. All right, so if you come on the driver's side of the vehicle here, you're gonna get right underneath and right where, so the drive shaft's coming out of transfer case, right? Front, that's a front diff. Transfer case is right here. And if you can see, I've already replaced them. Use those new solder connectors, but I'll give you a reference here. So this whole group of wires was literally sitting up against the drive shaft like this. Obviously they were all grouped together. You get what I'm saying though. They were pressed into the drive shaft. And as soon as I pulled them away from the drive shaft, looked on the inside, I could see that 3 of them were down to bare metal. There's one of them that has some of the coating on the wire rubbed down a little bit. That purple one, I think. I'm gonna wrap that in tape. But I fixed all these ones. I'm gonna loom them back up and probably zip tie them up to these lines right here. Yeah, this is East Coast car. It's all corrody down here, but this thing's a G apart from this fucking problem I've been having with it lately. But yeah, so I'm gonna fire this thing up in a minute, and fingers crossed that was the issue, because that gray wire is the 5-volt reference that goes back to that fuel tank pressure sensor, as well as back to the ECU itself, ECM, whatever you want to call it itself. I didn't shoot any of the wires, so I wasn't looking for, what you would do is you would put it in a good 5-volt source like the MAF or the MAP. It would be reading 5 volts, key on, and then what you do is you'd shake the harness around in different places, or you come down here and ground it out against the drive shaft like it's been doing, which is also probably why it was intermittent, because I would imagine it was going back and forth up against there, grounding itself out to the other wires. I would imagine, because this is the O2 sensor circuit, I would imagine that's probably going to clear itself up, because I put defowlers in here and that didn't work good. So, because if you've remove cats from cars before. You know how to get that check engine light to go away. If you don't, let me know in the comments and I'll make a video about how to do that. If you got check engine lights on for aftermarket exhaust, I got you. So yeah, wish me luck. I'm gonna start this thing up. Fingers crossed that once it's warm, I can drive it around and it doesn't die in the middle of the road like it has been. I'll be back. Well, holy shit, boys. I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, but the truck's warmed up. This is the first time the truck's been driving without leaving me dead on the side of the road for 3 days now. But fixed those wires, just like I said. My fingers crossed. I found some more wires that were under the hood that looked like they might have been a little tiny bit chafed. You see a tiny bit of copper sticking out, so I wrapped those up in tape as well. Knocked the fucking coolant temperature sensor off in the process. So I get in the truck and start, and it's got a coolant temp sensor engine light. I'm like, what the hell? So I get in there, I'm like, oh, I knocked it off of there. Yeah, that's right, because the little clip is broken off. But yeah, truck's running good. And here's the crazy thing. It was doing a weird 1-2 shift, and now it's not. So whatever one of those wires, so I fixed 3 wires in total. One of those, and it could just be that 5-volt reference circuit being something that, what the fuck that was? What the fuck was that? Something that causes, sound like a nail gun, but I was hoping it wasn't the truck. Anyway, it could be something that just causes an insane amount of issues, because I have no lights on the dash now. I was getting hard O2 sensor lights. Obviously the truck's running probably smoother than it ever has since I've owned it. So I would imagine that the last owner was probably having problems with this stuff too, and threw a bunch of parts at it and passed it off to me. Because I got into the truck earlier when I was looking at the, what is that box that's right there on top of the spare tire? Is it the evap pump? I don't know. Somebody leave me a comment on what that thing is called. Anyway, that thing is brand new. So I would imagine he got a code. Someone told him, yeah, that thing is bad. They replaced that thing. Truck wasn't running so swell. And as soon as he got yeah, this thing is even shifting better than it ever has been, which is crazy. This is nuts. Super nuts, guys. So like I said, if you're watching this video, I hope this gives you hope. Check the loom. You guys call it wiring harness. I lived in England for too long. The wiring harness, the loom, right on the driver's side, there's a stud right there that pokes into those wires. What you're looking for is a gray or purple wire. I know on the purple, on some vehicles, see, my brain is fucked up today, guys. I can't think. On some vehicles, that reference, oh, you know what? It might be the second bank of that 5-volt references. So there's a 5-volt reference for 5 sensors, and then there's another code that's P0641 or 42 or something like that. Again, one of you guys will correct me. That is, sorry, I'm trying to figure out whether I want to pull up under my driveway all the way or wash it off first. I think I'm gonna wash my driveway first. It's a second bank of sensors for that 5-volt reference. Guys, I genuinely can't believe this right now. I've been stressing the last few days on this because, like I said, I threw a camshaft position sensor at it. Who knows if that was actually bad? Threw a crankshaft position sensor at it. I'd imagine that was bad. It was doing crankshaft position sensor stuff. However, you know how these trucks are. I love these trucks to death. Amazing vehicles. They are reliable as shit. You can beat the hell out of them. You can always depend on them. But there are little quirks, little things. Also, something that I'm very curious about, because I've seen some people replacing their computers and they're like, yeah, it fixed it. And then they'll make another video and they're like, yeah, truck burned up another computer. And so they go chasing grounds and stuff. I'm wondering if what happens is there's a little driver or whatever in the ECU itself, PCM, whatever you guys want to call it itself. And what's happening is that 5-volt thing, that 5-volt feedback is grounding itself out so much that it's burning that out, perhaps. I don't know. I'm not a wiring guy. I'm not a computer guy. I'm a washed up jet engine mechanic and a meathead bodybuilder. So there's that. But yeah, I hope this helps someone out. God damn, that's a huge mosquito. Holy shit. I hope this helps someone out. That mosquito looks like a fucking fly. It's literally the size of a fly. I'll let you out of here, sir, before you suck my blood dry. Pause. There we go. I'm outside. Nice. Guys, I can't believe this shit. I can't believe this truck is... I'm super stoked that I found out that it was just those wires. I say just those wires. I've been tearing this thing apart for 3 days trying to figure out what's wrong. Pulled the whole front of the motor off. Not the whole front, just the water pump. I'm being dramatic. Crank sensor, cam sensor. Yeah. Check those wires. If you got questions, comment, concerns, let me know in the comments. Subscribe and shit.